Hey guys, what's up? What's going on? It's Link here. So today we have some exciting news for Palworld. So they just recently released an early access roadmap for the game itself. And honestly, it's not surprising this game has sold 6 million copies. So of course, they're probably eager to show people that they're going to continue to support the game with a bunch more content, of course. And they put out this roadmap that states that they are going to be addressing critical issues. It says, currently numerous bugs have been identified and we are prioritizing fixing those. Sometimes the world date may experience rollbacks. This was actually important because I could be wrong, but I think that the raids that happen in the game are actually tied to like the days, because they randomly happen every so many days, right, in the game. At least that's what I've noticed. And I've also noticed that like one of my viewers, actually my mod, hasn't had a single raid ever in the entire game. Now she has been raided in her own personal world, but when we've played online in the world that we have, she's never been raided before, and I think it might just be bugged out for her for some strange reason. I feel like, I know she's not the only person, but I feel like it might be what do you call it, tied to that. Because I remember I got raided at like day 6 or 7. In her game file, it's actually stuck at day 4. Which is actually kind of, you know, kind of crazy if you think about it, because she's been playing for like at least over like 40 or 50 hours in the game, which is insane. Anyway, so the second one is the loading screen may persist when trying to load into worlds and so on. Now, I've never experienced that before, but I believe that for Xbox players, they have. I also think Xbox players have issues with like a black screen, so maybe that has something to do with that. They also mentioned that they are working on improvements to implement ASAP. It says key configuration improvements. Also, another thing that says, it says improvements to base PAL AI and pathing. This one is absolutely massive. The PALs in your base, oh my god, they are, listen, do they help you? Yes, of course. But man, you have to make sure that you spread everything else, because their pathing is absolutely horrible. There's times where I'm just sitting there looking for my pals and they're like stuck on top of a tree or on top of a house, or they're stuck behind a wall, or they can't like get over like a small little like a gap between like the foundation of your house, and like you need to add some stairs because they can't go up. Or if you have like a workbench and there's like a, I don't know, something next to it, they can't go around it. It's pretty bad. Sometimes you have to pick them up and then like throw them to whatever area you want them to work. So it's really annoying. Not only that, but like their AI, like that's pathing, right? But like their AI itself is also pretty bad too. I hope that they somehow make it so that you can like assign pals. This is going to sound weird because you can already do this, but I hope that they make it so you can specifically go to like the particular facility, right? Like the workbench or repair bench or whatever. And it's somewhere in there, add a button that allows you to assign a pal to that particular station instead of having to rely on the pals to go there. Because there's times where like your pal has the ability to help you in your workbench, but then they also do logging, right? And then you're like, okay, well, he's gathering me wood over there, but right now I have like 80 arrows to make, so I don't want him or her over there. I want them over here. So then you'll go grab them, and then you'll throw them to the workbench, but then they'll leave and they'll go back to the logging area, right? And it's really annoying because there's nothing you could do about it except breaking the logging area, which honestly, that's not good. And then that way you kind of more or less force them to come over here because that's the only other thing they can do. So I hope that they figure out a way to make it so you can like reassign your pals to whatever you specifically want them to do. So the biggest one, in my opinion, is that they're adding PvP. Now, personally, I am not a huge fan of PvP, but I really do want to see whether or not I'll like it in this game. Now, PvP in this game is, if you've ever played Ark, is probably going to play exactly like Ark, where, you know, your pals are going to do most of the fighting, but of course you're also going to be doing some fighting too, and you're probably going to be in the back lines being a support to your pal who's in the front lines, right? So there's that, keep that in mind. And I say the reason why it's going to be like Ark is because Ark has the same thing, right, where it's like, it's dinosaurs, but then you also have like bows and arrows and grenades and rocket launchers and snipers and rifles and landmines, all that stuff, right? So it's probably going to play relatively similar. So if you want to know how it's going to work, just go watch like a, I don't know, like an Ark PvP video, and it'll tell you more or less how it's actually going to work. Now, another one that they're adding is raid bosses, which is massive. It's endgame content. Now, I don't believe raid bosses are the same thing as tower bosses. At least I don't think so. However, if you've never played a PvP game, sorry, a MMO game, excuse me, that's usually where raids come from. And raids consist of like, sometimes it just consists of like one big giant room with a big giant boss, call it a day, whatever. Just like the towers, right? But there's other times where it consists of like a giant dungeon where you fight like a mini boss, and then like a middle boss or whatever, and then at the end the big boss at the end, right? That's sometimes what raids consist of. Raids also consist of like either 4, 8, 12, 22 players, which sounds insane, but I don't believe this game is going to make raids bigger than 4 players. The reason why is because if you think about it, if you don't join a server and you just make your small little like free server that they give you with like 4 players where your friends can only play with you when you're online in the server, it would be weird for them to release raids, but then not allow those people to play in the raids. That would be pretty strange. So I feel like the raids are still gonna be 4 players, period. I don't think they're gonna be 8 or 12 or anything like that. However, it would be a nice surprise, but I don't think that's going to work because the servers only allow 32 people, and then you make the raids 12. It's gonna be very difficult, or 8 players. It's gonna be very difficult to get those 8 people. Even though, because there's only 32 people to spare, right, in the game, so it's gonna be very hard. So I feel like that's what's gonna happen. I also hope that the raid rewards are, I don't know, maybe like an outfit, a blueprint for an outfit, or maybe an achievement or something like a trophy or something like that. I think my favorite thing would be that they're adding more pals in the game, but I hope that the raids are unique pals that are that you're capable of getting. But you don't get it by like capturing the pal, you get it by defeating that pal, and then like, let's say like a random door opens up, and behind that door there's an egg, right? And then you got to take that egg to the incubator, and then of course that egg would hatch that raid boss you just killed, and then that's how you get that particular boss. Like, that would be a cool reward for finishing the raid. Of course, it would only offer one, it could offer 4 eggs, right? 1 for each player, or maybe it offers only 1, and then you got to do it 4 times for each player. That's typically how raids work. You kind of share the loot, and some games you don't really do that, but that's usually how it works, right? So that would be amazing. That would be a cool, like, there'd be some cool loot in the game. Of course, maybe some, like, I don't know, unique weapon or a better grappler, or I don't know, something like that. Now, Pal Arena PvP for pals. This one's very straightforward. If you like Pokemon, you know exactly what this is. You just, you throw out your pal, whatever pal you want, they throw out their pal, and they go at it, right? That'd be sick. However, it's going to be a little bit different because this isn't turn-based like Pokemon. Your pals kind of act on their own. So you're going to just throw your pals, and you're going to just see them fight and use whatever abilities they personally want. At least I think that's how it's going to work. I don't think they're going to like somehow change the game and the UI to work like Pokemon. I think it's just really going to be throw your pal, they throw their pal, and they just duke it out. Which honestly, that's content right there, because you really don't know what's going to happen, right? So I think that's going to be nice, and I'm more looking forward to PvP for pals than for PvP in general because of that. I want to see what they're going to do for that. Steam and Xbox crossplay, I didn't know that wasn't a thing, which I hope that they get that done ASAP, because, well, I personally don't know anyone on Xbox that's playing this game. I know for a fact there's got to be other streamers out there, other players that have friends on Xbox or the other way around that want to play together. Various Xbox feature improvements. Like I said, I did hear that there was issues on the Xbox version. I've seen some stuff on Twitter, and I hope that they do fix that. Server transfer and migrations. Personally, I don't think it's needed just yet because the game is super early. But at the same time, for online games and stuff like that, this is like very common, so it's expected that it was going to come out eventually. So good to know that it's coming out soon. Also, I must state, this doesn't have like a release date, by the way, so I shouldn't have said soon, because this could be in like 3 months or 6 months. But anyway, I thought that was pretty nice. And then it says improvements to the building system. This one is also massive. I'd argue this in terms of, if I had to like rate these, this would be like top 3 for me, because the buildings, it's so bad when like it comes to building stuff. Like, things don't clip properly. Sometimes stairs go like into walls, and you can't like put a roof because it's like clipping over, or like you can't put like roofs because they just don't sit right, or like a foundation is not like leveled, so like it like clips through the floor. And now you can't use that corner of the floor or place anything because the ground is like clipping over the item. It's pretty bad. And the reason why this is bad is because imagine in PvP, where you have to build like a fortress, because you're gonna get raided by players, not just by NPCs. And imagine you can't really build that fortress because the building system's not really cooperating with you. It's gonna be really annoying. So I hope that they really go super deep into this and try to figure out how to like make it so that everybody can build exactly the way that they want. Because yeah, that's huge. I feel like building your base is bigger than getting a PAL in a PvP server, because remember, it's a server. So whenever you're not online, the world is still online, meaning your base needs to hold. Like, yes, your pals need to fight back, but when you're there, you can help your pals. But when you're not there, your pals are going to rely on each other, plus the defense of the base, right? So that's going to be massive. New islands, which I don't know if that means like new little islands around the big island, like in the borders of the map, or if it means like a new map. I hope it means the latter, a new map, but I feel like it's a little on the early side. But then again, Ark has like 10 maps, and those 10 maps come with like new things to explore, new dinosaurs and stuff like that. So maybe that's the case. It does say new islands, new pals, which makes sense because there'd be new islands, new bosses, which also makes sense because there'd be new bosses. Oh, sorry, there'd be new bosses on the new islands, and then new technologies, which leads me to believe that they're going to increase the level cap, which also makes sense because, again, I keep comparing it to Ark, but it's pretty much exactly the same as Ark, which means that they're probably going to increase the level cap by a bit. I don't know what it would be, but if they went something along the lines of like, let's just assume that the level cap right now is 50. It would make sense if they did 50 and then next DLC 75 and then next DLC 100 and next DLC, excuse me, 125 and so on and so forth, because I feel like that way they can kind of like have a consistency, right? And you know what to expect. And while 25 levels isn't a lot, remember that the higher the level you go, the more XP you need to level up. So yes, 25 is not the same as 50, but it should take you relatively the same amount of time, because again, you need more EXP to get to those points, right? And of course, new technologies make sense because new levels and whatnot. This also will probably bring ancient tech too, that you will need the points from the raid bosses, or maybe they bring more towers. However, they haven't really said that they're bringing more towers, unless I'm confused and towers mean raid bosses, but I don't think so. But anyway, that's all that they've brought up lately. And honestly, I feel like this is massive. I feel like this is a lot. I think the biggest one for me is that I didn't expect is the new islands and pals down here on the bottom of the screen, because I don't know, like I expected everything else, but I didn't think they would actually release new islands and pals until like maybe 6 months from now. But I feel like perhaps that was the case when the game first released, but now that it's at 6 million copies sold, yeah, I feel like they're getting pushed to do this because I mean, why not, right? Like, your game is popping off, so of course you should try your best to like continue the what do you call it, the hype, right, in the game. But anyway, that's it for this. If I find any more news out there, I will go ahead and post it, so make sure you guys subscribe. And if the raids happen to not be solo, by the way, I forgot to mention that I don't know if the raids will allow single player like the arenas do, but I hope they do. And if they don't, I'll try my best to see if I can like finish the raids by myself, and then I'll make a video to teach you guys how to do the raid solo for those solo players out there. But anyway, thank you very much for hanging out. I appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Please like, please subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you're excited about, excuse me, or if you've heard anything else that wasn't mentioned here. And I'll see you guys in the next one.